Hoping that, you know what, I've done a lot of things where, where I've kind of set myself up to get back into this work. And it's been a slow process, as you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's getting there. Today I got my filing cabinet, so now I don't have just like paper screwed all over the place, and right.
Perfect.
So it's coming little by little, step by step, and that's all you need.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah. So, you know, the energy of these things, like I was really looking forward to this conversation with my lawyer, because I'm prepping for the 18th. I've been building my life to be able to speak my case, right? And I have this conversation with my lawyer, and she basically is like, you know, good luck, right? Not helpful at all. You know, there's no real end in sight. She's like, you know, this takes a long time. Well, I'm already a year out without my kids because of this, right? Like, you made me wait a year for what? This mediation conversation. It's not even a court date, so I don't even know what to call it. It's the initial mediation, but I waited an entire fucking year for this mediation, right? And yeah, the whole thing, like, I riled myself up for that call, and it just went so badly. She told me I was over emotional, that I should definitely stay in counseling, that this is a waste of our time because you're so effing emotional. All of the testimonies and character references that I went out of my way to collect, she's like, oh, like, what do you want me to do with these? She's like, don't send me stuff unless I ask you for it. And I am like, well, this is my story, right? Like, this is what I have to dispel everything that this A hat is pinning against me. And she basically said, well, you know, I don't know what to do with it, right? So overall, it was just really bad. Hey buddy, how you doing? Every time I go like this, I feel like I look like, let's just get that double chin there. Ooh. Anyway,
I'm sure I don't probably look too flattering right now, but whatever.
Whatever.
Like, frazzled mom, you know, I've been hiking through town. There's my other older
it's
grandma.
real, right?
Yeah.
And that's the point, is that it's real.
Yeah.
And
yeah, well, well, because lawyers are not trauma informed, they're only legal informed. You know, legal and lawful are two different things. We can get into it another time.
You're breaking up, Cecilia. Like, badly. Like, you're not there now. Oh man, I wonder if her phone died. That was fast. See if she comes back.
Did you freeze again?
Yeah, you're freezing. Oh, there you go. Welcome back.
Oh, we're back? Okay, good.
Yeah. So you left off saying that lawyers are not trauma informed.
No, they're not. So they often, like, so they're legally informed, right? So that's all they know. That's what they focus on. And it doesn't address the fact that we're human beings going through a whole lot of stuff, especially if the other party is abusive. That the thing you sent me or you tagged me in um, just reminded me of how they too are convinced that people using the court system simply can't come to an agreement but are reasonable people. Uh, as similar to your situation, um, I mean, I just sent an email setting up a visit, and he writes back, "You're insane." Like, like, okay, how is this a
Well,
reasonable person?
I just spent my entire day, well, not my, but I had my grief therapy appointment yesterday, right?
Hmm.
And I spent that entire session just being like, I don't understand how I ended up here, because all I did was try to protect my family,
Hmm.
right? And by my family, like I always included him in the picture,
Yeah,
right? And it
yeah.
didn't matter. And this is what I said. I'm like, it didn't matter what he did to me. I just kept forgiving him. And that was part of the problem, right?
Hmm.
When those red flags came up, and I kept, I didn't sweep it under the rug. It wasn't that I swept it under the rug, but I just kept trying to move past all of the stuff that he kept throwing at me.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
like all of these should have been my red flags to his intentions, right?
Hmm.
But this is where the age gap comes in.
Hmm.
He knew how to take advantage of me because I didn't think the same way that he did. I was still in my wonderlust naivety. And that's the piece of this process that has hurt me the most, has been that he has stolen my innocence. He has
Hmm.
stolen my ability to see the world in a beautiful way.
Yeah.
And that hurts me unlike anything else that he's thrown at me,
Yeah.
because my point of view is now completely tainted. And when people are trying to celebrate milestones in their lives, I don't celebrate with them. All I see is triggers and warning signs and red bells. Like, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it, right?
Hmm.
And that's not fair to the people that are trying to create something for themselves as well. You know what
No.
I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, I totally know what you mean. Well, it's not even necessarily like an age gap or how you put it. It's that we do believe that they are also reasonable people, and the naivety I think is that we have convinced ourselves that everyone thinks the way we do, and so we're like,
Right.
oh well, why wouldn't the other person want to ensure that our kids that we made together in love, out of whatever, out of love, with love, um, would want to have a relationship, and encourage that. I mean, that's your stance, that's my stance. Those are important values, that I really did my utmost to uphold, regardless of what he was throwing at me. Like you, try to overlook it and make sense of it and rise above it. And I was like, oh well, maybe I really was being unreasonable there, and how can I make this work? And then I think back to the very beginning, and like I tried. He had our son. He was trying to alienate our son against me, right? So um, he had him saying like, I really want to go back to my dad's when it was my parenting time, and I was like, okay, let's try this. Let's try sending you back to your dad, and we'll see how it goes from there. Let's give him all the power and control. And right away, I saw that he couldn't handle it, not in a respectful way, not in a good way for a child and for this new phase of our relationship, right? Like he, he just couldn't.
I think that's
And
why Sean hides the kids from me,
yeah.
because if I'm in the picture, it right, like I am attentive and healthy and good parent, and
Yeah.
the only way that he can gloss himself is by removing me, right?
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
the comparable is gone.
Yeah.
Um, that being said, one of the things that burdens me is he did at one point in this insidious thing that he's created get me to say out loud that I am a bad mother. And that sits on my heart every fucking day.
Oh my goodness. I'm so sorry that happened to you. That is
He made
gross.
me say out of my mouth that I am a bad mother and that he is a good father. And I am just like fuck. How fucking dare you? How dare you?
Wow.
And then him going after me for this child support. So what I've said about this child support, because I am not fucking willing to have him not only steal my children from me, but rape my wallet either. Because that's what he's just out to destroy me. He makes more than enough money. Oh, let's shut off Haley. Haley likes to interrupt our conversations.
Oh.
Haley, you're so loud. Yeah, just a second here.
All right.
Okay. How cool is like freaking robot vacuums and like mobile fucking remotes? Oh my God. Welcome to the 22nd century.
We can't even fix our relationships. What are we doing with robots? Like, oh my goodness. Yeah. You know, like in my situation, I would be more than happy to have my son have a safe, loving relationship with his dad. Of course, naturally, right? Like, absolutely. Yeah. But I have not seen a change in behavior. Like I said, I'm like, I just tried to set up a visit, like, for the guy, and he writes back that I'm insane. And then he makes some, like, writes some more gobbledygook, and always on the run around with me being a bad mother. And, you know, I almost believed him over and over and over again. Oh, maybe, you know, obviously I'd given my power to him. It's hard not to with these kinds of people. They kind of wear you down until you do, and then they become like your god or something. And then I had reinforcement, confirmation around me through people, through like what angel numbers, through all kinds of things that affirmed that I was actually on the right path and doing the right thing, and I was actually a good mom. People are always like, your children are so amazing, and I'm like, okay, good.
Well, and that was the sick part, right? When those 3 days that I saw my kids after I got back to Canada, and I saw my kids and they ran from me, which, as you know, gave me PTSD symptoms. When that happened, all of my friends and peers were like, oh, he's such a good dad. Those kids are so right. But I'm like, that is a fucking symptom of parental alienation, right? The fucking best foot fucking forward. If they had the ability to actually be able to feel the way that they feel, it wouldn't be anger. They wouldn't be running from me. They wouldn't be, showing fucking face. They would be acting like kids, not young adults at 10 and I think Serenity was 7 at the time, 6 maybe, right? And this is my biggest fear that I have with my daughters being in my husband's control, because he is a sociopath. He is a diagnosed juvenile sociopath. He was diagnosed at 7 years old. Wow. And because his mother was afraid of him.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Wow. And
I spent my entire relationship with this guy petting his ego and being like, oh, labels don't define you, honey. It's not true. It's okay.
Oh, geez. Right? It sounds like he targeted you or groomed you right away. It sounds like he got right in there, and it sounds like something I would say too, to my ex when I was with him. Like, just, oh yeah, the rest of the world doesn't know what it's talking about. I had so many people come to me over 5 years saying he's abusive. And then like we were talking about a couple of weeks ago on our call, how on average it takes someone 7 times to get out, if they do it all. And I'm like, you know what? There were so many times I did try to get out. I didn't identify it as such until like more recently, but I was like, oh yeah, yeah, it was there. I may be blanking it as something else. Oh, I just need a break or whatever. Oh, I'm tired of not being able to shower. Like I'm tired of not being able to bathe my baby. We lived on a farm and then they cut
Right.
the landowners like cut off our water. It was weird and I was just so tired of it. So I went off
My
and
curiosity is what he said and how he convinced my kids so fast that I was a monster.
right.
That's what I'm curious about, because it took a fucking instant. It was instantaneously. It was not a frog in boiling water. It
Hmm.
was like, oh, I've set the trap and there, done.
I have no idea. I know that it's insidious and sinister. My son talks about certain things that came up for him or are coming out for him now, right, where he's able to articulate. And he's like, I'm sorry I called you, Mom, to tell you I wanted to kill you. I'm so sorry about that. And I'm like, look, man, like, I forgive you. I didn't even take it into my heart at that time because I knew that you were under the influence of somebody that had sinister intent. And
Yeah.
and what person would allow, like, why would you allow your child to call the other parent to say, "Hey, here's something awful I want to do to you"? Like, okay, but yeah, I
Right.
you know, yeah, it
One
is
of
it
the
is
things that's been reeling around in my world was this Freudian slip that my daughter had. So on this 3 days that my children are here, and I invited Sean, right? He stayed at
mhm,
my girlfriend's house. We gave him a bed, right? We looked after him. And it was a week later that we had the phone call where he told me that I no longer am welcome in the family. Yeah. Um, yeah, right? My grandmother, we'll get back to this in a moment, but my grandmother on her fucking deathbed wanted to talk to Sean, right? Basically, probably, I expect, wanted to tell him to be a good person towards me,
mm,
right?
mhm,
But my grandmother, based on what I asked of her, I'm like, we're family. I don't want bad blood between us, right? He would not call my grandmother on her deathbed. One
mm,
of her last dying wishes, and he would not comply. Like, what
mhm,
kind of fucking monster did I marry?
mhm.
So this Freudian slip, I have my kids for these 3 days. I'm getting PTSD symptoms because they're running from me and they're scared shitless of me and they're triggering me and all of these things. And I can't remember what the fight was between me and my daughter, my eldest daughter, of course, because my youngest daughter wouldn't come anywhere near me. Um, but something about I don't know what I said, like, what's your problem? What's the matter? Whatever, right? And I said, or what are you angry about? I think that's probably what it was. And she goes, I'm angry that you left. And I'm like, there it is. It is. Oh, and then in the next breath, it's like, oh, sorry, I meant I'm angry that you yelled. So what I didn't realize at the time was I went and talked to Sean about this, right? Because I'm like, she said it, right? It's there. There it is. She like these kids need room to be able to love their mom and be able to mourn their mother. And I didn't realize at the time, no, Miss Ellie, I didn't realize at the time that I was giving my husband ammo to reprimand my daughter for wanting her mom.
Yeah, and
And
that's what
that
they
entire
do.
car ride home, they just made me the butt end of the joke and they talked about how horrible of a time it was.
Mhm,
And
yeah. It rings so many bells. these I think I said sinister intent or insidious intent, like it. I,
What's
yeah,
the motive behind it? That's what I don't get. Like,
they want your power. They want you empty, and so you got to rebel and don't let him have the satisfaction that he's ruined you. You're like, okay, I was down for a time, but now I'm back up, and
well,
you
I'm
can't
getting
ruin
there.
me.
I'm definitely
You
getting
know,
there slowly but surely.
absolutely,
You know,
one
I'm
foot in
on
front of the
track
other.
right now to being able to afford me and my children. That's my goal, is that, you
That's
know,
beautiful.
I can financially support my family, and I am on track to that goal. Oh
Mm-hmm.
yeah, the child support, him stealing my goddamn fucking money, which is what he's after. That's the only reason that he wants child support, is that he wants to rape me dry as much
Yep.
as he possibly can. And so what I said, and I didn't say this to my lawyer, I didn't think about it when I was on the call with my lawyer, but I was thinking about it because of my call with my lawyer. And, you know, her going, well, you're gonna have to, right? I'm like, the what? You're supposed to protect me. I said that to her. I'm like, you know, I don't feel protected by you. I don't feel like you're protecting me or my kids. And that's what you're hired to do. Okay. That being said, the child support thing, I am not willing or comfortable to just giving this asshole money. Now, paying and supporting my children, that doesn't hurt my fucking feelings. I'm a mom, and I've paid for their entire fucking childhood. He didn't pay for it. I paid for their childhood
Mm-hmm.
through compounding. So, what I've come up with, and this is the only way that it would work for me, is I don't have a problem paying for clothes, for school supplies, for whatever it is, but they need to come and ask me.
Mm-hmm.
They need to let go of their little asshole ego that's been fed to them by their father and come to mom with their tail between their legs and say, Mom, I need money for X thing.
Mm-hmm.
That is the child support that I am okay with.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. That's it.
Yeah.
Sorry, that was
Yeah, makes
my
sense.
thing that I needed to get off my chest.
And I think that's a beautiful way of doing it. Um,
Well, it's about
yeah,
repairing the relationship, right? If I just
right.
have the other parent money, how is that benefiting the growth of the relationship between me and my kids? How is that creating any healing whatsoever? No, that's him winning. That's what
Mm-hmm.
that is.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like comparing it once again to my situation, um, over and over and over again, he wrote that he was going to destroy me, and then I would burn on the stand. I'm like, what year are we in anyway? And so
1880, man.
right, I'm like, okay, well, you want to know really crazy? I was reading a book by Rebecca Campbell, and she talked about the beginning of the witch hunts, and it started on his birthday in what 14 something, and I was like, that is just weird. Hair stood on end in that moment. I was like, okay, so is this some kind of weird like karmic thing? and then
And that
and
was
then I
another thing that I brought up in my therapy yesterday. I'm like, we're hundreds of years from the burning times, yet we're still dealing with the
oh
same
yeah,
problems.
yeah,
A
we're still
man
being persecuted.
will steal a woman's life by calling her crazy,
Mm-hmm.
and we've been dealing with this for hundreds
Mm-hmm.
hundreds of
Mm-hmm.
years.
So I try to bring in love into these rooms. Like that's how I navigated. I would just bless the whole space. I could feel all the trauma from all the generations and all the trials before mine oozing from the walls, and I just send love out to it. Bless the judge, bless the sheriffs, bless everything. Right. That's how I was able to remain calm. And then I would let like universe guide my words. I don't want to speak from ego. I just want to speak the truth, what I believe in. Um, yeah, and I chuckle because he's like, "I'm going to destroy you." That's what he's trying to do. Uh, And I laugh because I'm like, well, I just made another baby, so I'm multiplying. You can't destroy me. It was my own little inside joke
My
with
goal
myself.
is to have another baby next year.
Yeah.
I
Aw.
obviously need to be financial because I want to be a single parent, right? No,
Yeah.
no husbands, no boyfriends, just impregnate me and not putting any possibility for this kid to get stolen from me. I,
Oh my god. Well, then you got the Ministry of Children and Families. I don't know what it is where you're at, but here, and they do steal children from safe, healthy parents. I was actually one of them. Um, when I was 6 years old, my dad's side of the family uh, alleged that my mother was sexually abusing us, and so MCFD came and removed us from her, and she had to go through 7 months of court to fight for us back, and she won, but she had to go through all those accusations. One sec. You hurt your eye.
Hmm, what a munchkin.
Yeah. All right. He's good. He's back having snacks.
Oh, good. We were just talking
Oh.
about parks because I ended up getting like 3 school zone tickets. They're
Oh.
fucking expensive
Oh
now.
my
They're
goodness.
like 150 a fucking pop, and I got 3 of them in a goddamn row.
Oh my
And
gosh.
I know. And I'm like, it's such a money grab because kids don't even use playgrounds anymore, right?
Right?
Like, if you want to monitor the playground, which I don't have a problem with you doing, but
Mm-hmm.
you should be monitoring if there's children in that playground. We
Right.
have the technology to do it, right? And
Mm-hmm.
if that playground is abandoned, which it is 90% of the time, then it should just be residential speed.
Right.
Like, you shouldn't be pinning people because there just happens to be a fucking empty playground right there.
Yeah, right.
I'm
But
not
yeah.
even sold that
Oh,
I was speeding in these playground zones because I am a school bus
yeah.
driver and I happen to pay attention to school zones. So,
Oh,
you know,
froze.
oh
You
no,
froze. You still there?
oh no, I can hear you, but I can't see you.
Oh,
Hello. You know what? If your phone has started to fail, because I know you said you are low on battery, we can close this up
all right.
and reconvene again.
Yeah,
Um,
sounds good.
yeah, my court mediation is on Wednesday, and I think it would be good to get up and talk about the results of that in rooms like this. Um,
Mm-hmm.
as you know, though, I might be feeling a little emotional, and it might be a little bit challenging to get up on camera, but we will get there and we will make it happen.
So I just want to say that when you're in court, be calm. No matter
I'm going
what
to have
they
such a hard
throw
time with
at you,
that.
you gotta. Okay, so what the court usually is looking for is if you are crazy and reasonable, and they will judge you because you know you yell at a turn or whatever, right? So you be calm and you speak lovingly and kindly as best as you can. That's the advice I received, and that's the advice I'm going to give, because otherwise they go, oh, see look, she's, even though it is reactive abuse, our court systems are so archaic.
Yeah,
And
they really are.
you know I mean, but the thing is too is that if a man acts out, like, which I've seen now from personal experience, they don't seem to really care. They don't really hold them accountable. They're like, oh,
That's
you poor.
because men are on a fucking different level
Yeah,
than women. Women
Yeah,
are second-class citizens. We are still property.
we are.
I know
Yeah,
that,
I was gonna say
I
we're
know
still
that,
chattel.
right, that we're labeled to be free, but we're not. As soon as you get that marriage certificate, we are property. In fact, they've taken away that. Now it's
Yeah,
common law. If you
right.
live together for 3 months, you are not property.
Yeah, yeah. You belong to that guy, even
Yeah.
if he doesn't have a job, even if he doesn't support you, even you know, on and on it goes. No, the system needs to change, and I think I really do feel that getting our voices out there and being heard, uh, could make that change. I feel that it has a really good chance of doing so
And
because it's not a just a
I
you and
want
me
to,
problem. It's huge.
yeah. Oh, no, it's huge. What did what was the statistic I gave you? 70%?
A
I,
problem. I can't
I
remember
can't
now.
even remember. There's so many ugly statistics rolling around in my head.
Mm.
I just got a new one of, what was it? 73%. Oh, that's what it was. 73% of children that go through family law are left with the abusive parent.
Oh yeah. Oh, I
73%.
yeah.
That's the new ugly statistic that came down my pipeline this week.
I can believe it.
It's
Thankfully,
80,
I live in a small
80%
town.
of people are in
Oh
one
wow.
form of domestic abuse or another.
Yeah.
That's that statistic.
Well, I mean,
Oh,
and it shows. And like, I look at everything in a really holistic way, or I try to, right? In the
yeah.
bigger picture, I'm like, okay, there's all this unresolved trauma that's been passed down from generation to generation, and now we're here, and we're the ones that are the change makers. We're the ones that are waking up to it and owning our dark sides, and working towards doing better, right? Like that's what we want to do,
Well, I had
for
a
our kids and.
conversation with my girlfriend because I talk about this stuff, so I make friends that are in the same realm as me. And
Mhm.
she says to me, she's like, you know what? I'm actually concerned about you getting your kids back
Mm.
because the courts make you submissive to your child. And I'm like, I won't be. I refuse to water down my parenting that they need from me because, oh, I want it right. I would rather that they be where they're at, and I continue this path of battling this issue than be the person that bows down to my children because the court says so, you
Yeah,
know?
well, it's a fine line. They want you to be a parent. They want you to make the decisions and all this stuff, but they also don't want you to make the other person look bad and stuff. Like it's so crazy.
Well,
Um,
again, I'm not exaggerating any of the accusations that I put against my husband. He
mhm.
he is a two-time criminal. I can't take that away unless I was lied to, which I said to my outreach workers. I mean, that's possible. It's possible I've been lied to right from the fucking beginning, right? Maybe that was a fabricated story. I don't know. Two-time criminal and diagnosed sociopath. That is what his mother has told me. That is what his brother has told me. I haven't seen the paperwork. I know that he had to work on a pardon. I know that Mommy Dearest paid for his little pardon, and all my lawyer says, well, do you have anything recent of his criminal activity? And I'm like, you're looking at it. What he is doing right now is criminal. This is a criminal mind in action, right? And I am a good person. I didn't want to play this game.
No, of course. I was actually talking to the MLA today because they've got a big ball of problems with this guy, but he's able to I don't know, manipulate the system in a way that allows him to get away with everything. And what was I saying? Oh, I lost my train of thought. I was like shooing my kids away because they're talking about battle and points.
Oh,
I'm like, go that way. Oh, my god, wait, wait. Oh, where's I going with that? Ah, 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 oh, w I can't remember now.
I'm
Darn
not sure.
brain. Maybe it'll come back to me in a minute.
Happens. It's always the most important pieces, the most valuable.
Right? Yeah. I was trying to think of all the things that I was speaking to her about, but yeah, somehow their hands are like so tied. I'm like, well, help make this done, because this person is a problem, not just to me, but to much of
Yeah.
the community.
Well,
And it's like the system just doesn't see it. So,
no.
I'm thinking about your upcoming uh court day, and I'm thinking, just imagine a judge, getting a judge that understands, because there are some out there that are forward thinking and progressive, and they're there because they do want to make a difference. And so no matter what your lawyer says, right, they're there to guide you and stuff, but I mean, they're not God either. And I mean, you just keep putting one foot in front of the other, and putting the goodness out there, and feeling everything, of course, and speaking the truth, and inevitably you will find yourself where you want to be. um Thinking too, I have friends who were alienated from their kids, and actually, um they worked really hard for men's rights, fathers' rights, and that's why they say that's why it's sort of the way it is now. But they said, even though they were so heavily alienated, now in adulthood, their kids come and find them, and they're like, "Oh, wow, you're nothing like mom said you were." So, and
Well,
it's not just
that's,
yeah.
I mean, like that's great, fine and dandy, but that doesn't change the damage that is done in the meantime,
No, it doesn't.
right?
No.
And um, where was I going to go with that thought? Yeah, I mean, it doesn't change anything.
No.
Um,
No, it doesn't. And I mean, that's the shame, right? We would like all of our problems to be dealt with yesterday, and get on with life in a joyful and holistic healing way, right? But we got these little, no, not little, big problems to navigate through. And I always ask, like, why is it on my plate? What am I gonna do
yeah.
about this? And you know,
Well,
um,
and that's what I said this week to my workers. I'm like, why me? Right?
mhm,
Like, I didn't do anything wrong. All I tried to do was be the best that I could possibly be, and it just got twisted.
mhm,
And
mhm.
that
Yeah.
brings me back to the spin of like, why?
Yeah, well, you're not gonna find out why, because it's deranged. It is unhealthy. It is not from the heart. It is from ego and from a sick place. You know, um, because you're a good, safe parent. There's no reason why this person, other than a malicious intent, as we keep saying, would need to do that. Like my ex, almost, I don't know, he seems delusional, and like he's always like, you're insane and you're bad and you're this and you're that. I don't do that. I don't i don't go there with that. I just go, well, your projection is showing. I don't say that
Well,
either, but I think it,
that's
you know
exactly what
like,
I was going
oh,
to
there it is,
rebuttal with you.
right.
It's projection. And I think most of the perpetrators, I'm not going to say men because I
No,
understand
it's
it,
both.
most of the perpetrators, that's the tactic, that's how they manipulate, that's how they break you
Mhm.
down, is
Mhm.
they project.
Mhm.
And they tell you what's wrong with you,
Yeah.
that's actually what's wrong with them, but they're
Yep.
putting it on you. And
Yeah.
because you're an empath, again, male, female, it doesn't have a gender, but because you're an empath, you're like, oh, the empaths are the ones that look up and are like, oh, well, how do we fix it?
Mhm.
Right?
Mhm.
And, but if there was nothing to fix because it was projection, right? All of a sudden
Mhm.
now you're just in a spiral of self-blame.
Yep.
And
That's
that's
right.
that's the tactic. That's how it works. That's how it happens.
Yeah.
And
So don't, like, I had to make peace with the fact that I won't ever see what it is that I think I'm not seeing, because there's nothing there more to see. It is what it is, right? I'm always like, what am I missing? What do I need to see? What do I need to do differently here? Nothing. There's nothing you can do differently. You're exactly doing everything you possibly can with your set of who and how you are, and that's what you got to go with. And yeah, making peace with that was like a huge milestone for me, because I probably spent like 5 years asking, what am I not seeing? Show me what I'm not seeing. I do not understand this. What?
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. and
well,
and
and
you're right.
that's
Yeah, we want to fix. So
right. And
yeah.
that's another thing, right? Like, I grew up and I raised my kids into good habits of meditation and affirmations and positive thinking, and right. So when
Hmm.
all of this went down, when the crash came in for me and anyone that's in this position, they have that crashing moment where it's like, shit, now I see things for the way that they are, and not for the way that I believe them to be, which we've affectionately called the rose-colored glasses.
Hmm.
Um, but where was I? Where was I going with this thought?
Yeah. It's probably almost
Um,
wind down time anyway. Wrap her up.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Well, this has been a really successful call, in my personal
Mhm.
opinion. This is really the atmosphere that I want to see for these calls, where it's more of an open conversation.
Yeah.
And yeah, because these conversations are really what's going to touch and help other people.
Yeah. Remember, you're not alone. It's a
You're
huge
not alone.
global problem. And we're
Yeah.
all in this soup pot of what?
What the fuck? Yeah.
What? Yeah.
So this one should be much more accessible to you. I tried to send it to you, but unfortunately the file was too large.
Oh,
Um
okay.
and you know what? I'm not into paying out for services right now. Um Down the line,
Okay.
but right now it's just not necessary. Um so this will be on YouTube. This will be accessible. I will send
Awesome.
you a link. You can download it from YouTube. That's so much easier and so much
Yeah.
more convenient. Yeah. And
Perfect.
yeah. And yeah, I mean, really, we launched from Facebook the other week because the audience is there, but we're gonna grow an audience here
Mhm. Mhm.
from this
We will.
platform. And I don't know about you, but I would actually rather be on a platform where my peers and such aren't, where we can develop that from infancy.
Mhm.
Um, yeah.
Yeah,
So
I like that.
thank you again, Cecilia, for being here with us on Pep Talk. And yeah, I mean, the only way that we are going to create change and maybe move away from being second class citizen, would that be a fucking treat?
Wow.
I,
Imagine such a thing. Ah. Imagine the things we would like do for the world. Oh boy.
oh my God, right?
Yeah.
And they keep are being like, oh look, we put a woman in power. Well, how emasculated has that woman become in
Yeah,
order to be
right?
in that fucking role? So it's essentially a man with a vagina now, right?
Hey, isn't that what's going on in the world, right?
Yeah, it's a weird, we're in a weird space. And I personally believe a lot of it stems from the lack of discipline, because for the last 20 years, we've been afraid to discipline our children because of
Yeah.
issues like this.
Yeah.
And now we have a very, very confused society. Um,
It's
yeah,
true. It's so true.
it is. And I truly believe it stems from like too many choices and not enough
Mhm.
direction actually
Yeah.
guiding and directing these
I was gonna
children.
say
So let's give
guidance,
them,
right?
yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, parents aren't parenting their kids.
No,
And
well, I mean, the state also wants control of that. So it
well,
creates this really screwed up dynamic, and et cetera, et
yeah,
cetera. We're overworked, and dealing with, like, we can't deal with our trauma as well, and blah blah blah. It's yeah, it's a big
All I can pray
big
is
problem.
that 100 years from now, we're not going to be in the same fucking place. But
No,
you know, again, like I said, what you said, it was the 1600s, 1400s,
1400s. Yeah.
1400s. So we've been battling with this issue for, what does that make, 800 years? 800 years.
Really? Oh my goodness, you math that?
That I just pulled that out of my head. It could very well be wrong.
I'm like, what? Where I don't even know. I've given up on the idea of time, and I just
It would be a little
because
bit more, yeah, a fuck tard long time, right? And
longer than it should be.
way
Well,
longer than it should be,
you know,
especially when we had the women's movement in the 70s and the 60s and 70s, where we, really pushed to fight for women's rights. And here we are in 2020s, and we're getting them taken away from us again. Like,
mm-hmm.
I don't know, but I cry for our grandmothers and their
Yeah,
efforts, right?
yeah,
Um,
I do too.
yeah. So, all we can do is be the change that we want to see in the world. And,
That's right.
there's no guarantee that it's going to work, but as long as we light the torch, it will keep that torch aflame.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, I hope we see more people on here and
Yeah.
expand.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
we'll start to grow it. I'll get that link to you. I'll get
Awesome.
that link to our producers as well. And, yeah, I mean, we'll start marketing it out for sure.
Fantastic.
All right, my dear.
How
Enjoy the
exciting.
rest of your day at the park and hug
Yes.
those littles,
Oh, I will. I'm
right?
so grateful. So grateful.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
Make it the best day possible. And
Oh,
I will see you next week. Like I said, it might not be quite immediate because my emotional state will probably be off the charts. But, if I can get brave enough to break through that, that's really important for people to see as well. And I understand that as well. Either way, we will get to a point where we will have the conversation about it.
perfect.
It's just a matter of when and what kind of state I'll be in with for that.
Sounds good. I
Yeah,
completely understand.
as you would, right?
Oh yeah.
And that's the importance of these rooms, is so you're not alone.
No, exactly.
Um,
Exactly.
yeah. What we're going to do, just so you have an awareness of next steps, and we are still recording, and that's totally okay. Next conversation we have, I want to try to add Clubhouse in as well. And that's
Okay.
going to be as simple as doing what we're doing, because this is working. And like I said, I wanted to run us from YouTube to begin with. So we're running from YouTube now. But to run Clubhouse, it's going to be so simple. All we're going to do is open up the app in Clubhouse, open a room, and that will be live in Clubhouse
Awesome.
as well. Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
I love it. This is great. So
All
great.
right, my dear.
I hope we've offered some healing through our discussion, and insight and ways to navigate, and
I mean, if
all
not
of it.
today, it will be tomorrow, right?
Yeah.
Because as long as we keep this ball rolling, people will start to seek out these conversations so they can understand their journeys as well.
Yeah.
And like I said, 80%, it's not a small number. And all we can do is the best that we can.
That's right. All right. We'll
All
talk
right.
to you again soon.
Loves you. And yeah, we'll see you next week.